So, end of season review. So, we're here after 27 games in the A-League and 3 in the Australia Cup. We are now here after our positivity to start the season, which was no doubt fueled by the comments made by Rosario Pelligra and Stanley Lazaridis. We all thought we were going to see big things this season, but instead we saw a shit show. And, you know, it was clearly not good enough. There were times where we were embarrassing as early as the first game, as no doubt our viewers may have seen from the live stream.
I was going to say this.
From the live stream that myself, Alex and Josh were on, and we were getting some feedback from Will.
For charity as well.
Yeah, for charity.
Charity live stream.
So Glory decided to be charitable and give goals away for free. So a quick summary of our thoughts of the season as a whole, starting with Will. Try not to get yourself cancelled, please. Look there.
I think so. You want a summary of my thoughts on the entire season?
Yes.
As brief as it can be.
Extremely disappointing. I don't recognise what we really are anymore, and we're a boys' club.
That's great, but tell us how you really feel.
Okay. Well, no, I can't, because if I was to say that, I respect myself too much to get to that level of language.
Okay.
But like, I've never gotten to a point with any football team in my life where I genuinely don't feel that much excitement when we are doing well. Like, even with Everton, like, we've been really bad, but even when we win a game that might not even matter, I still get very happy for it. But
there's a sense of apathy. Where you're excited, where it's like you're expecting a goal to be conceded, but you're surprised if we score a goal.
Very, and it's not like a surprise like, oh my gosh, we're on to something. It's a surprise like, oh, finally.
Like, wow, we've got a goal.
Wow,
yeah.
okay,
fair,
cool.
Fair,
yeah, it just doesn't matter anymore. Like, if again, like I said in the last podcast, like, if we played like this at the beginning of the year, like if we have a 4-1 win and a 2-0 win and a 1-0 loss to start next season, first 3 rounds,
then it's different.
I'll be so happy. Genuinely, I know I sound so over the moon right now, but genuinely, I'll be happy. But this season, probably the most demoralising I've ever experienced.
Alejandro.
This club, every time I look or just see or just experience anything with this club, it's just, it is the constant feeling of just getting punted in the nuts over and over again, like just without fail. Yeah. Without fail. And the worst part is we put our reputation on the line for the enjoyment of the viewers. You get to sit here every week and watch us embarrass ourselves talking about, but we're having some good signs with David Zrillich, guys. I mean,
who's we?
I think it's just me. There's no
there is no we.
It's just me.
In all seriousness, this season has been shit.
Yep.
Few shining lights. Jalen Pearman, obviously. A couple of other youngsters that have come in. Labib, been great. Franey, he looks promising.
Hey, buddy, that's part of another section.
If
you want to just...
Okay. Listen here. Right?
Listen here, fuckface.
If you just read the transcript.
I read the transcript, buddy.
Well, buddy. Clearly not, because you get...
This is part of my end-of-season review, buddy.
So, Alex, continue.
Well, now I don't want to continue.
Good. Josh,
what were your thoughts very quickly on the end of the season, or just the season in general? What did you think?
Absolutely diabolical, and the club should be ashamed of themselves for over-promising and under-delivering. If you're not confident that we... What?
No, Alex.
It's because Alex...
Look,
cut him off.
Yeah, keep going.
The thing that gets me is all the promises they made. Oh, we will be good. We will win. Like, I didn't like that, because they came in and they never had like any experience running. Oh, actually, they'd run Catania, but like they hadn't experience
one
with
of
an
them
A-League
had,
club.
Like,
and I don't think they shouldn't be promising after such a short period of time these unrealistic
for sure.
promises to
and
the
then
fans.
promising and saying we'll always be accountable.
Yeah. But that's what really like annoyed me. Obviously, there's you can't instantly be successful. You can't instantly go to the top. We all know that. I know we'd like that, but that's unrealistic. But it's just disappointing.
Yeah, it's unrealistic for a team to go to the top straight away. Auckland wins the league.
Okay.
I don't realise...
No, it's just in
I don't realise why it's so difficult for us to win the A-League. Like, I just did it in FIFA career mode. Like, it's really not
right, James?
Well, I
Can I just say something
no.
before we go, James?
Yes.
The worst part for me this season was that before the start of the season, I just got off of binging the entirety of The Sopranos, the Godfather trilogy, and all the mafia movies. I was convinced Ross was going to be the big mafia don to come in and bankroll this club and bring us back to our glory. And then we go to absolute shit.
My thoughts on the season. Embarrassing. I mean, for as much, like I said, for as much as I was sort of taking the piss, going, he's really shit's a guy. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that I did call for him to get sacked, as we stand, and I still stand by that. Any professional club would sack them.
James, you're the most bipolar football.
They would. They should. No, hold on. Here's the difference. I think they should. I think both of them should go. But since
they shouldn't have been hired in the first place.
They probably shouldn't have been.
Dave is like
Dave is different, enough. Where there was more potential that it could have worked more so than Stan. And I remember, Alex, as early as episode 1, when Stan was appointed as director of football, we said there's Stan the player, and then there's Stan the director of football. And what we've proven this season, given Stan's comments and his recruitment, yes, there was a $7 million debt against him and legacy issues. We had a disaster in terms of our recruitment and our squad composition. And I think that there probably should have been, at the end of this season, change within those leadership roles in particular. And for as much as I'm trying to think that there may be improvement with Zrilic at least next season, I stand by there should have been the change. I did support the idea of us going for the Aloisi brothers, or even before that, someone like John Brady.
Yeah.
But since it's not a viable option for us, I'm like, well, how can we try to make it work? How can we try to change the narrative from it can work to it will work? But I think too often this season, there's not been a compelling case put forward by either Dave or Stan or the players or the ownership group. I was very disappointed that the ownership group did not take a front foot approach in general by trying to reach out to the members and fans and get their opinion face to face. I think they missed a great opportunity to do so in the members forum.
Yeah.
And I did say to Stan, when I was fortunate enough to be one of the 4 Glory fans that met both he, Ross and Jason Bontempo, you've got to talk to more fans. You've got to get the message out about what is our plan. What is our strategic plan? What are the markers that we're going to use to assess that plan? So no, this season wasn't good enough. And for as much as I liked Vince Grella's comments at the end of the season where he said, everyone's on borrowed time, and if they don't perform, they're out. Well, prove it. Set a clear agenda for what we're going to do next season, and then leave it, and then let the actions do the talking. Because I don't know if you guys all saw Taggart's interview at the end of the Wellington game, but he said, I apologise to the fans again. There's need to be less talk and more action. 100% agree with that. Yep. Demonstrate to us that there's going to be a better 2025-26 campaign. Don't overhype it to shit. Cough, cough, Stan. Please, just don't. Let us see it, and then we'll tell you if it's good or not. Don't try and gaslight us into thinking that we've got wow signings. So, yeah, I think we were all very disappointed this season, and I think, like Will said, it's rare that we've all gone to HBF Park and have been broken and just been numb.
Yeah.
And prove us wrong, please. Like, I genuinely...
please prove me wrong. Please.
Please take this as motivation to win the fucking next season.
And shut us up.
Genuinely.
I was just going to say, if there's one person I feel bad for this season, it's James. Because every single time we get linked with someone or a new manager, you go out of your way to make a many men comp of this person. I don't even want to imagine how long you take to make these videos, and then you watermark every single one, but now they're unusable because we never get anyone.
Still on there.
I've seen Brady, I've seen the Aloisis, I've seen that many people.
I've got that many things ready in case we need it. But yeah. So
touch grass, man.
I do a lot of things, man.
Go home, get a job.
I'm a good coach as well, by the way.
Get a job.
Favourite game?
5-4 against Melbourne City in the Oz Cup.
Will? What was your favourite game?
2-0 win against Wellington because it means the season's over.
Dickhead.
No, but on a serious note, probably the Auckland game.
I'd say the... I didn't make it to the Auckland game, but
Fair.
I'd say the City game, but I don't know if that counts because it's Oz Cup.
No, that counts. That counts.
Yeah, I'd say the City game as well.
I do like the Auckland game shout, because it was at that point in the season where we knew we weren't getting finals. However,
we thought we could.
We
turn it
thought
around.
that we weren't going to get the spoon, so we were actually excited by the prospect of winning a game.
And the players went up to the fans and did all the celebrating.
Yeah.
The vibes were very high at that
Jalen
game.
Pearman banger.
Shed was fantastic too.
This should be a fair. Oh, this might actually be a bit difficult one. Worst game of the season.
Oh, 6-1 against MacArthur.
No,
100%.
no, it can't be that.
Without doubt. Okay,
There are so
maybe not
many-
for you.
I'd
We
say
were
it
on
was,
live stream.
Fair,
We were
fair.
on live stream reacting
Okay,
to that.
that's
getting
fair.
clowned in
Was
the
it
chat.
4-1 to Jets?
4-0.
4-0 to the
4-0 at
Jets.
Jets at home was the worst.
That's got to be the worst.
I wasn't at that game. That was the one home game of the season, wasn't it?
That's got to be the worst.
Melbourne City. I don't think since the salary cap days have we seen the fans turn on the players like they and everyone as they did in that game, where the whole stadium was chanting, "We've got the ball and we've lost the ball."
True.
For so long as well.
So long.
Not even just the last 10 minutes.
Deafening.
For pretty
A
much
whole
the
half.
entirety of the half.
Yeah.
And not only that, I counted it, 9 separate occasions where the Bay broke out. I'm in the thick of it. Everybody knows.
Yeah, no, that was when the club died almost right there and then. I've never felt more embarrassed. I reckon there would have been people that would even have been. It's a bit of a meme. I'm falling in love with the game. I'm feeling a bit sick, to be honest with you. On a
my
serious
vlog
point,
for it didn't even perform that well on my YouTube, man.
No, but I think that was such
the saddest
but it was such a disaster of a game where I was like, "What the fuck are we doing?" So yeah,
I would
5-0.
argue the 3-1 Brisbane's also up there.
Isn't it
That
funny
was
how
really
the season's
bad.
been so bad that we've thrown up 5 games already that could be the worst of the season, and all of them are just as bad as each other?
Yeah.
that's true.
3-1 against Brisbane, the 5-0 against City, 4-0 to the Jets, 6-1 against MacArthur.
I think the MacArthur one hurt the most.
The Wellington home loss.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because we were on
after
the
Yeah.
I know we lost to Moreton City, but after that
I forgot about Moreton City. Oh my god.
What
bro.
about the 3-2 loss to Western when we were up 2-0?
Oh yeah, that one hurt.
Nah, because I was expecting it.
No, but the MacArthur one, because we went into it with so much excitement of the new owners,
Optimistic,
and,
yeah.
optimistic,
And then
yeah.
then within 45 minutes, 5-0 down.
Yeah.
Best player of the season. I don't know if they've done the MGP.
We've already done it, but
Luke
Pennington,
Amos.
it's Pennington or Taggart.
Pennington or Taggart. Most improved.
Pearman.
Pearman, 100%.
Will Pearman?
Get back to me on that. Just give me a sec.
It's Pearman.
It's got to be Pearman.
Stop trying to be.
No, because there's an argument that is he improved or was he just given a chance to play and he showed
That
us
is
what
a
he
good
could
point.
do.
That is a very good point.
No one's to say that he wasn't already that good. He just got given a chance and he did all that.
He improved in the sense that he didn't just stay at the level that he came in. He went up.
Fair.
I think he went
I
up.
would argue Labib is there because
Yeah,
we had
that's
seen a lot.
Labib, yeah,
we had
that's
seen a lot of him
shout.
before, and he wasn't that good. And he improved so much with the more game time he got.
Hear me
Yeah,
out.
that's fair. Yeah.
Zach Lizalowski.
We didn't
But
see
he
that. We
wasn't
didn't see
there
that
last
much
season.
of him, unfortunately,
from, like,
at the
this season
beginning.
At the beginning, we
At
did.
the beginning,
From that
yeah.
first game against MacArthur.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
fair. I would personally say Labib because we've already seen so much of him.
Yeah.
Whereas Pimmin, we didn't see much, and he burst onto the scene quite quickly, so
Okay.
we wouldn't know.
I'd say any of Lizalowski, Labib, or Pearman.
All right.
Yeah, fair.
Well, we'll jump on to the squad now. So I'd like a rating out of 10.
Can we agree something before we start? By the way?
No.
Sure.
Can we agree that the base, average, just base rating is 5?
Whoa.
It's
5?
5 out of 10.
Yeah, sure.
Not 6, not 7, no
Okay.
dumb shit.
Yeah,
I
who
think someone
would
just had a
make 6?
bang average. Bro,
United
for,
stand. United
for
stand.
ratings, the average is a 6.
United
You're right.
stand.
You're right.
And
Thank you.
also next to the players, should we go if they're going to go?
Nah, just have a
Well,
rating.
that will be for the little mini episode
Yeah.
after this.
So
Mob do that?
I don't know because they're weird.
actually.
Okay, so Will,
Hello.
we'll start with you.
Hello. What's up?
Out of 10,
Yeah.
Ollie Sale.
Are we going straight numbers or can we do points?
Just do whole numbers,
Okay.
please, mate.
All right. 3
3.
Yeah.
Alex.
for the money he's on.
I'm actually going to have to agree with you and say
Yeah.
3, to be honest.
Yeah.
Josh.
0.
But wait, we need to say this before this. No hate on any of the players, by the way.
we think you played awful, but no hate.
No, this is not personal.
No.
Maybe a little, but it's not.
I am taking to the fact how much we are as a club, like how much they're being paid, what my expectations were of them, and how they performed, living up to what they.
You're just judging it on performance.
Yep, but well, for example,
no.
If
James,
Cameron
it has to be more than performance.
No, because if Cameron Cook played the same way Ollie Sale did, Cameron Cook.
But you're not judging them on who they are as a person.
Not at all.
No, my point is, if Cammy Cook played the entirety of the Ollie Sale season and put the exact same performances as Ollie Sale, I'll give Cammy Cook a 6 because the expectations.
Wow.
For Cammy Cook are nowhere near as high as mine were for Ollie.
Yeah.
Because of the money's being paid, what we brought him in to do.
Yep. Fair enough. Josh?
It's hard. Like, if it was based off the last few games, I'd say like a 7, but just the whole season, 3, yeah. I think 3 is fair.
James says
8. Shut up. 3.
Okay. All right, copycats. All right.
Cam Cook.
Mr. Original over here.
Give him a 5.
I'll give him... Oh, bro, you're a dick. I was going to say 5 as well.
Well, because he didn't really, he didn't have much to do.
He really did not.
Yeah, but when he did come in, he did all right.
Look,
he did average.
I'll give Cammy the benefit of the doubt and maybe say 6 for when he played.
Yeah.
But he just didn't play enough.
Yeah, he didn't play. Yeah.
Cammy Cook, probably like a 5. I think it was just average.
I would have said I'm going to say 5 as well. Didn't do too much, but wasn't bad when he played either. Really. Yuto Misao.
I think I'm really separate from a lot of you boys on this one.
Misao. I don't know, man.
When he first signed, maybe like a 6, but now like 5.
I'd say 5. Look, James, when you read off the statistics of these two guys that they brought in,
and the fact that he played in he won the Asian Championship.
I was expecting a lot more.
Yep.
And he didn't really deliver. And I'm not saying that's his fault because of obviously he wasn't that fit. Blah 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 blah. So many reasons.
Yep.
I would say 5. I think he had a just average. He filled the squad role to the point where it was okay.
If we were doing half points, I'd give him a 6.5. But because we're not, I'm giving him a 6.
And for that reason,
Josh.
Yeah, a 5.
James might go 4 here, and I wouldn't disagree.
No, I think a 5 because I think he was solid at times and wasn't terrible.
That's fair.
Riley Warland.
Sorry, lad. Unfortunately,
I'm out.
From what we did see from it, you're a young bloke, and I'm sure you will improve. I'm going to have to give you a 3.
I'm going to have to give him a 2.
Ooh.
Look, here's the thing, right? I didn't expect a lot from Riley this season, but the simple fact is he wasn't great last season. He came in this season and was worse.
No, that's spot on, though. I mean... Yeah,
he didn't improve as much as we would have liked.
It is a 2 out of 10.
Expectations and what we thought might come didn't meet those.
The only reason he is getting a 2 is because there is someone in here that is getting a 1. Are we allowed to give a 0? Are we allowed?
I'd rather you didn't.
Okay,
just
I'm not going to specify.
Leave it for there. Josh?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say a 2 because, I mean, the last time he played was against Mariners, right? Or something like that. I remember he had an absolute stinker.
MacArthur, I think MacArthur, yeah.
He had 2 stinkers in a row, and I was like, yeah, he's like worse than last season. I mean, in all fairness, he hadn't played in ages, but 2.
3.
Huge.
The Belgian Lizarazu, Anas Hamzaoui. And sorry, Anas, but blame Stan for that stupid comparison.
Yeah, and also, Anas, I really like you, so please don't hate me for this because I think you're a really nice guy, and I know the players like you. But okay, I don't want to burn any bridges here, man. I like Anas.
Pissing on all of them.
But he didn't. But he didn't have much of a chance. I'll give him that. He had a lot of injuries. He picked up.
Yep, we didn't see that coming.
From what you were hired and brought in to do, I'm going to have to give you a 4. Because, unfortunately, when I think of you and your performances... all right.
Okay, can you cut that out?
Again, there was a lot of situations where I'm like, that's basic football and you forgot to do it. You forgot to mark the man. You forgot to
that Wellington goal. That
there was just a few times where I'm like, mate, come on. Like, that's just the basics of defending, and you can't do that on multiple occasions, so I'm going to have to give him a 4.
I think in his last sort of few appearances this season, I didn't think he actually did that bad.
Mm-hmm.
My expectations for him were so low that I might honestly be willing to give him a 5, but it's probably a 4.
Yeah, it's just like, it was average until he wasn't. Like, his highest peak was he was okay. But he had moments where he was nowhere near.
We had no expectations of him coming.
I did. I had some fairly high expectations of him.
Well, that's just your fault, mate.
Yeah, I know, but yet we still both gave him a 4, didn't we? So
Yeah.
who's the real loser here?
Josh.
Anna's Ham's out.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember when we signed him, I'm like, why on earth did we sign this guy? And I thought, hey, maybe Stan will prove me wrong, and he didn't. So I'm going to have to say it too.
So true. 2. Fuck, that's
Wait,
hard.
2? 2. Ah,
Well,
2.
I can't do 2.5,
ah.
you know.
Oh,
Ideally not.
I wonder if Van answers a Hawk too.
Funny. 4.
Oh, maybe
Will, it's
3.
9 o'clock
Maybe
at night, bro.
I'll give him 3.
It's not.
3's fair.
terrible.
I'm
3.
giving it a 4. Zach Lizalewski.
6.
I'm gonna. You know what?
10.
I'm gonna give him an 8.
Wow.
I'm gonna give him an 8.
Why is that?
I think, in terms of his improvement over the course of the season, I think he's gotten a lot better. I didn't have the biggest expectations of him coming in, especially considering that when he was coming in, I thought he would be a centre-back signing for the future. He played left-back, which is a position that he's never played in senior football, or from what I can
Oh, no, he did for Western a couple times.
Okay.
Couple times.
Consistently.
Yeah, that's true.
Consistently.
Yep.
He went from being a young centre-back potential signing to a starting left-back signing at points.
Yep.
I think he performed really well.
Yep.
He showed very good strengths in terms of attack. He defended very solidly, and I think he's laid himself a very good foundation to progress further and hopefully kick on to be at least a starting left centre-back in a back 5 or even challenge
you and
centre
your
for a
back
starting
You
left
in the
spot.
back 5 spamming.
Just
Look,
shut
I would have
up,
given him a
bro.
higher rating if he stayed more fit. I just don't think I saw enough from him to give him above a
Okay,
6.
that's fair.
Josh?
I mean, yeah, like Alex said, I didn't really have the highest expectation, but to be honest, when he first came in, I was like, yeah, he needs a bit more experience and he'll get better. But towards the end of what I saw him, I thought he got significantly better. And
Yeah.
I can't do 0.5s, can I?
Nah.
I did
I'm
not.
gonna have to say 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's fair.
7. I think he's got a fairly high ceiling, and I wouldn't say no to him starting with Scott Wooten next
Absolutely.
season.
I just hope he can keep his fit.
I think he's got a because we also need to think about who is our next. I don't like talking about players in this way, but I think we need to consider who, after let's say Pearman and Labib, is our next asset that we can sell, and I think Lizalewski is someone that European or even Asian clubs should be looking at.
For sure, he's built for it.
got a lot of qualities.
Yeah.
Guy's fucking mad.
Yeah.
Here we
that slide tackle in the Auckland game, bro.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my.
Here we go.
King.
Luis Kanga.
Surely he doesn't count though.
Well, we're going to count
We
him
mean
anyway.
surely he doesn't count.
Got to count.
We've counted Riley Warland.
He's gotta
What do you mean
count.
we don't count Kanga?
Gonna say a 2.
I'm gonna say okay. Do you want to say why?
Shite.
Okay. I'm going to say a 3. And the only reason I'm going to say a 3 is because I've given Warland a 2 for 1, but also there is also a couple of 1s on this.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll give him... Look, he for the first few games of the season was actually okay, and then he just really just fell
He
off.
stunk it up.
He stunk it. But that first few games of the season, he was actually all right. And then he fell off.
Isabel Dalton has won the women's.
Not a surprise. She's been very consistent.
She's very good.
Okay, good at football. Josh, thoughts on Luis Kanga?
I mean, yeah, I agree. He started off alright, and then he went to absolute shite. So I'm gonna have to give him a 3.
Unfortunately.
2.
Yep.
4 for the CV that he had coming in, albeit it was from Ecuador. I thought he would have stood up a lot more than he should have, and
sure.
he didn't, and therefore it's a.
It also
I
just
think the Kanga roo.
don't start.
Oh my God.
I also think similar to Anas, it was some of the basics of defending he just seemed to forget mid-game to do. Whether it was making sure your back passes are actually hard enough to make it back to the keeper, clearing the ball to a safe enough space.
Swing against Newcastle,
Yeah.
that was a cardinal sin.
It was just it just felt like he didn't understand the basics sometimes, and that was really frustrating.
Tomislav Merchula.
6.
Alex?
I'm going to give him a 7. I think for the role that he came in to fill,
Yeah.
I think he did a
We
really good job.
desperately needed him.
Desperately needed some experience in that back line. And look, the guy is in his 30s now.
34.
He's not getting any younger. He's
Yep.
slowed down a lot, but he added a lot of maturity to that back line. And I solely feel that him being here is the only reason that Labib was able to kick on as well as he did.
Because they had a really good partnership.
Absolutely.
Other than Labib's natural talent.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But Labib was able to express himself so much more. Because
Well, he had that
He had that
platform.
experience.
Yes,
that
and Tommy
security,
was
yeah.
barking where he needs to go and teaching him. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I would even be tempted to give him an 8 purely because of how much his addition meant to the likes of Labib. However, I'm gonna keep it fair. I'm stick to his performances. I think a 7 is fair.
I just want to point out, by the way, I understand my rating's been quite low so far. No one, for me, is getting a 10, and you have to be really, really good to get a 9, because no way we finish bottom of the table and anybody gets a 10.
Yeah,
That's not that. That's not what happens.
Josh, Merchler.
Yeah, I mean, I think ever since he's come in, he's been. We need more players like Merchler with their. I feel like they bring standards to the club. Like they're a really good presence,
Standards.
especially in the just around in and
What?
off the field, on and off the field. I
Fair
think
enough.
he's. I'm gonna have to give him like a 7.
Yeah, I'd give him a 7 also. I thought he
Okay.
was... I think if we didn't have Merchler, I think we would have been in a world of shit.
Yep.
And very happy that he came when he did. Tas Morticurtis.
5.
What? Nah, come on.
You know what? I would have given him more than this, but it's just the fact that he's been injured the last few games of the season, and we only signed him in mid-season. I think he's been very consistent, very good, and would love to see him at the club next season as a depth option. However, he wasn't there consistently enough in the second half of the season. I'll give him a 6. I think him and Merchler had a similar impact when playing,
Yeah.
but Merchler was more readily available than Morticurtis.
I agree with what Alex said, but I'm going to give him a 7 more.
Wow.
Like, to be
Jesus.
honest, when we signed him, I actually thought he was a bad signing. I wasn't very excited about, because especially his CV wasn't great, and like he surprised me. Like I thought he's done very well for what?
Not Alex.
No, but like he surprised me. I'm going to give him a 7.
Fair.
5.
Yeah.
5?
Really? I said 5. Why are you yelling at him?
Because you're a negative Nancy.
No, just hold on, because I think there were times where Morticurtis was solid, but I think he didn't really show that much for me to go, yes, you should start next season, or you were outstanding. I think he was good, but I don't think he was that good of, say, like a Thomas Love Merchler.
Correct.
The next one, Adriano Labib.
8.
I'm going to go with an 8.
Josh?
An 8, potential 9, but he didn't obviously play that much at the end of the season.
I'm going to say an 8 as well. I think he was excellent, and I think he's got a very high ceiling. And if he does go to Red Bull Salzburg, as the rumours are suggesting, I think he'll smash it there. I think he's the perfect type of player that would fit in a Red Bull system. And, you know, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but... when I was on the Far Post podcast, and I apologise to plug it, but we were speaking with one of the a guy that's fairly tapped in with the local football scene here in
Target
Perth.
1 and MGP.
Really?
Yep.
Fuck.
Bored bastards.
I thought so. We spoke with a guy called Kalechi. I forgot his last name.
Kalechi from Perth Football Podcast.
Yeah, Kalechi. And he was at one of the games, the NPL games, and they were talking about, you know, Majex, because Majex and Labib were both playing with next to each other, and Majex was looking really confident on the ball, and the boys were really going, oh geez, Majex is looking good. And then Stadge was nearby, and then turned around and he said, guys, this guy next to him, Adriano Labib, is a monster. And Stadge reckons if Labib really wants it, he could be a 50-cap Socceroo. That's how highly...
I agree. The guy is a freak of like natural physical
and that's
ability.
the thing. He has the capacity to make it, I believe, in Europe. I think he's got a lot of really good attributes already. And I think, you know, if he wants it and, you know, has the drive to get there, I think, you know, why not? I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him. Kalen Majeka-Dunmi is next.
Well, I was actually going to jump ahead then and say I think the same for Kalen.
What potential to play in Europe, or
potential to play in Europe and smash it there?
Anyway, we'll get to you, Josh. I'm going to say 5.
What? You know what?
That's probably a fair call.
I'm also going to have to... And listen, I
It's
love
not
Kalen.
saying Majex is bad.
I love Kalen. Great guy. This isn't his fault, all right? With some of the other people, when you give him a 5 for, say, like, being injured, not being available, whatever, you can't really be mad at Kalen because it was down to just Srilic not selecting him. When he has come back, I think he's shown some good promise. He showed those signs that he did in his first season when he came in. There were a few rough patches in terms of him not being the best ball-playing centre-back.
Yeah.
But I think we all sort of knew that. When you compare him to Labib and how Labib sort of came onto the scene this season especially, it does make Kalen look a little inferior. I don't want to say Kalen's an inferior player because, quite frankly, I still think there's bags of potential there, and I do think that he has potential to be a really good centre-back. But considering that he didn't play much this season, and he was a bit iffy on the ball at times when he did play, I'm going to have to give him a 5. But if he played consistently this season, I think he easily had the potential to be upwards of an 8.
No,
but
I don't think it would have been 8.
if he played consistently. I think with consistent minutes he would have done a lot better.
I think we're extrapolating a fair bit from a smaller sample size, to be honest. I think I think Majex is a good defender, but I don't think he would have got to the same levels as, let's say, Labib was having.
That's fair, but I also feel like that's because Labib had a ready-made partner in Merchula to sort of coach him through it. I feel like
Majex did well with Latchman last season.
Oh yeah, 100%. But that's because Latchman's physical ability made up for the fact that Majex wasn't that quick and not that great on the ball. Latchman is good on the ball and really good physically. Labib is great physically, but not that good on the ball, and not as experienced. Merchula is better on the ball and more experienced, able to coach.
So what is Majex good at?
Majex is, I think, great in the air. I think he's really good in the air.
Fair.
I think he is relatively smart in terms of his defending.
What do you mean?
I feel like it's more sort of just like a natural instinct thing. I feel like Labib is someone who you would have to coach it into more.
Can you be more specific?
No.
So he has aura and he can head the ball.
Not aura. I just feel like... Oh my god, it's hard to explain.
But
right?
don't you think Tommy has that same instinct?
Absolutely, and that's
then why didn't you name that when you described Tommy?
But that's what makes Tommy a fantastic defender. This is why I'm saying I don't think Tommy and Majex would work as a centre-back pairing because they don't complement each other's weaknesses. Whereas Labib complements the fact that Merchula is 34 years old, and Merchula complements the fact that Labib doesn't have experience.
So, besides having a brain for defending and heading the ball, what else does Majex excel at more than others? What's his attributes that you think, that's him, other than heading the ball?
I just think he's a very good physical presence. I think he's a very athletic player, which is good for a modern day centre back.
Okay,
you're saying the same thing though. What sets him apart from other defenders?
Yeah, you said the bib. You've explained why he's...
Okay, I'm just going to take over here.
I am just going to say, I'm not saying Majex is a top 5 A-League centre.
No.
I'm saying that he's a good young defender. He's 21 years old. He has room to improve.
Yeah.
I feel like there is something there.
I just think, and it's not been his fault, of course, because he's not had more game time because we've not been able to develop what his absolute skill set and attributes are going to be, because we could be more specific with what Zach's going to bring, with what Adriano's going to bring to the table, and I think I would like to see more from what Majex can bring to the table,
for sure.
To the table, sorry, and hope that I guess next season we can see more. Josh, you were trying to say something, yes?
Well, I don't know if you boys remember very early, last season, maybe episode 3 or 4, we were saying we think Majex is better than Labib and he has more potential.
I do recall.
We did say that, but we were also saying that off the back of seeing Majex more.
And we also liked when we signed Srilic.
He had some rough patches, but you got to remember, he didn't play for most of the season.
No,
and
that's
all of a sudden he was thrown straight in. Genuinely,
and he was thrown out right back as well.
I think he can smash it in Europe, and I genuinely thought, yes, he made a few mistakes, but since he's come in, I thought he deserves at least a 7.
I think since he's come in, I think a 7 is fair. However, it's just the fact for me that he didn't play during the season, and once again, that's not his fault. It's just when I have to look at the people on this list and the ratings that I'm giving for certain reasons. One of the factors you have to bring in is how often did they play? How important were they to the team?
Yeah, I'd have to give Majex a 5, but I think he has the capacity next season to do a lot better.
Yeah. If you could coach it into them, Labib and Majex could be a fantastic centre back.
Okay, we've talked about Majex.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Lockie Bar.
can't. You need to leave. Yeah, that.
Nothing against nothing against him, but 4.
2.
4.
Because I don't think for because we knew that Barr coming in was not going to be an outstanding centre back. I think it's relative. I'm saying it's relative to what we expected from him.
Okay,
he didn't do all that much, and I don't think he was terrible, but I don't think he was outstanding. So for me, he was just below average.
I personally thought he was terrible, and here's why. Right?
Terrible. Okay, sure.
Yeah, personally, I do. I felt like he almost fell into Kanga's mistakes by not sticking in a foot in and not challenging for the ball as often as he should have.
Sure.
I felt like every time he got the ball, I just wished he'd take the short option instead of trying to pass it through the middle because he would lose it. It felt like 80% of the time.
You weren't confident with him on the ball?
No, the least confident I've ever been in a player from this season on the ball. He genuinely, I felt every time he got it, I was bricking it, waiting for him to give it away.
Yeah.
I don't think he was defending wasn't good. His stamina was nowhere near where it should have been. He wasn't able to do a full 90 at his full capacity. His leadership skills as a senior player was not there. His communication was poor. There's a reason, in my opinion, why he got cut as quickly as he did, because he just wasn't working.
I think he's unfortunately NPL standard. I don't think he's quite.
Yeah, we signed him to be an experienced centre back to come in and be a rotational player to help out our younger guys. And he did none of the things that we signed him to do.
It didn't work.
No.
Here's the thing as well. Think about how many times we said earlier on podcast episodes where he would get dribbled, not past,
but
he
through.
would get dribbled through.
Yep. Remember that
because he was very cowardly when defending in the box.
Cowardly is the wrong word.
No. When defending in the box, he would not go in for it.
No, he was too reactive.
Passive.
No, reactive. Because he wouldn't be proactive and initiate the contact. He'd be reactive and would then get scared shitless.
Correct.
Because he's backing off.
So I can't say cowardly, but you could say scared shitless.
Because cowardly is too harsh and too...
But scared shitless is not. Okay,
it was too crude.
Yeah,
cowardly is too crude.
I agree.
It's too crude of an analysis.
I'm going to give him a 2.
Buddy.
2? Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm also going to give him a 2.
Josh Risdon.
Josh Risdon, where do I even begin?
10.
Where
do I begin?
My sunshine. No, I'm kidding. I love Josh Risdon, but for his age, for what we brought him in for, again,
great age.
10.
Great age. No, you know what?
For your age.
I'm going to be doing a lot of these rankings based on what they brought to the club in terms of also culture and how they managed, togetherness. Like I'll bring it up again when I get to another particular player and explain what I mean by this. But I'm going to give him a 7, and I'll explain my logic when we get to a particular player.
Alex.
What's that? Just checking the time.
Look. Here's the thing, right?
Look.
I was really. I think I sort of blindsided myself in thinking that Risdon was still that guy that could go out there and hustle for 90 minutes. I think it's very obvious that he's a bit past it physically now. I'm going to give him a 6.
Josh?
Well, if you look at Western United, last couple of seasons he played at Western, he played around 15 matches a season, so I wasn't expecting him to play the full 26 games, and he's done that. He's played 15 games, so I mean he's come in and done and what I've expected, and I felt like he's been a great sort of mentality man around the group. I mean, he was captain at Western United.
That's the word I was looking for.
I mean, he hasn't blown my mind away, but I wouldn't say he's been horrible, so I'm going to give him like a 6. What's funny about that? I feel like that's realistic.
No. I'm gonna be somewhat contradictory saying that Risdon is. Hold on, I was saying that Risdon was. We can't use him a lot next season. I'm going to agree with Will and give him a 7 because I think Risdon, when you look at what he does bring to the table, he does it very well.
Correct.
Defensively, he was by and large, particularly in the Auckland game in Perth.
Mm-hmm.
he played like a man possessed.
He did.
With the broken ribs as well.
And that's the thing. He's someone that cares a lot for this football club, and we need to have people involved at this club that want to be here because they care about the club rather than the paycheck, or just because they were picked up by Glory because no one else would. So, he gets a 7 for me, but I still stand by that. He should be around the squad next season. Don't get me wrong, but we need to look for someone that can take that role more long term, because either way,
and work under Risdon.
And we need and for as much as I was stupidly saying I'm dating him, no, Aidan Simmons, I think for me would be a good option. I believe, to look at or to consider.
Fair.
Barely getting any game time, playing in the NPL in New South Wales. I think there's a player there, and I think for him to learn under someone like Josh Risdon for a whole pre-season, I think could be a really positive thing for the club.
Very true.
I feel like if Risdon had a more ready-made replacement to come in when he did get injured, I would have given him a higher rating.
Yeah,
it's the fact that he was forced to play when he wasn't.
That's
100%.
That's fair. I'm going to include him at right back, but you can also include him as a winger. Trent Ostler.
Trenty.
You know what?
Trento. Hey, buddy, it's my turn to go first.
That will go first.
How have we done around 10 players and you still don't understand how this works?
Because Alex is ready for a rant.
Shut up.
Okay, William, hurry up.
As expectations go for Trent,
yes,
don't touch me.
He's just like giving everyone cuddles now. Jesus.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him. I don't know. Look, you know what? I'm just gonna be safe. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give him a 5. Purely because, right, now hear me out.
Yeah.
His lows, pretty low, right?
Yep.
But his highs, pretty high. You know, when he has a good game, some of the passes he's been able to pull off, some of the crosses he's put in, I will give him credit where it's due. When he has played a good game, we wouldn't have played as well without him playing that well. And when we have lost games, we wouldn't have played that bad without him playing that bad. So I'm going to say it middles out to the point where he's had enough good games and enough bad games to be at that median 5.
Alex.
For a Trent Ostler season, this is like a 9, but like, I'll give him a 5. I look, he did what we expected him to do. Sometimes I feel like he got utilized a bit too much. I was really hoping this season for him would more be a season where he was going to be more that rotational role, and if he was going to come into if he was going to get a starting opportunity, I would have liked him to have been more convincing. I understand he started a lot of games and ultimately was important to our team. However, there were those times where he just was not convincing at all.
Yeah.
You look at him and you're just like, brother, what do you... Just what? Like...
just what? Yeah.
But, look, Trenny had a good season. Hopefully he's here next year. Hopefully he can kick on a bit more. But, yeah, I'll give him a 5.
Josh.
See, as a right back, I mean, considering he's not a right back, he played...
Right back is his position, apparently.
No, he doesn't have.
But he started out as a striker.
When he came through, apparently fullback was his
as
position.
A right back,
apparently.
I'd give him a 6.
Yeah.
But as a right winger, I'd give him a 3.
Oof, that's harsh.
So I'm going to say overall.
No, that's fair.
I'm going to say overall about a 5, and that's generous.
He's airing you. Okay. No, I completely agree with that, Josh.
I will say a 5.
Yep.
I agreed with Alex's point, that he's not been overly convincing when he has played, and I think when this has been raised by a lot of Glory fans. What are you like? I can't say what are you contributing, but I think the better question would be, what are you providing to the team that other players can't do? And I think if you're too much of a run of the mill, like okay, steady Eddie player, then you're not really going to be someone that's going to get many games. And I think next season that's going to be something that might be a challenge for him, unless he absolutely smashes it in pre-season and has a higher output from whatever position he's in. Then I think, unfortunately for him, he's going to be someone that doesn't get many games. And
correct.
I think that's just the reality that's going to face quite a lot of players for next season.
I could 1,000,000% see him staying, but he's someone who might come on for the last 5 minutes.
As a closer.
Just to give someone a rest. That's it. Like, that's the only role he would get into if he doesn't step up his game a bit more.
Takuya Okamoto. Bit hard to give. He didn't really play too much.
Yeah, he hasn't really...
Yeah, it's might just have to be a 5. I don't really have an explanation for it other than the fact he's just been a bit...
Just there.
He's just there a bit.
There, yeah.
Again, expectations are a lot higher for him because his crossing percentages were really high.
He had some good numbers from the J1,
Yeah, and again, I'll give him some leeway because of his fitness and his lack of game time. It's hard to come in and just hit the ground running.
That's fair.
So would like him to have a full season and come back next season if that's an option for sure. But in terms of just this season and what he did, he was there. It's a 5.
Alex?
Yeah, probably a 5 as well. Look, he provided some good versatility, but the fact that he came in injured... came in and immediately got injured. It didn't bode well for the rest of his stint.
I mean, to be honest, when we signed him, I had a bit of a higher expectation. I mean, he came in and did a job. I disagree with keeping him for next season because I just can't see it being viable having 2 32, 33-year-olds right backs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to give him a 5.
5 for me. Just wasn't a major contributor. His engine was good, and like I said earlier about the Wellington game, it demonstrated why we need someone that's got an engine and can last for pretty much the whole game.
Dude, you sound like my mechanic. His engine was good.
It looks good. No, I just think in terms of a work rate, you need fullbacks with a high work rate. But I wouldn't. With the greatest respect to him, I wouldn't keep him next season.
Bang.
Nicholas Pennington.
Go
on, Will.
Do I give it my first 9?
I think you should.
Yeah, I will. He's one of the few brights. I'll give him a 9.
Alex?
If I could give half points...
Okay.
If I could,
It would be
you can't.
7
Okay.
times.
I'm going to give him a 9. However...
9.5.
No, I would lean more towards giving him an 8.5.
Yeah.
Purely because while I think he has been a standout player for us, there have been those games where he has been a bit sort of iffy, and then on top of that as well, he has been injured a few times.
Yeah.
But I think he has easily been our standout player this season in terms of the entire season. He's been, from
Very
start
fair.
to finish, he's been our best player.
Yep.
Josh?
I know this is a bit harsh, but I'm going to give him a 7. Just mainly because...
Okay.
I mean...
No, hear me.
Mainly because he's been injured so much. And, yes, injuries are, out of your control, but he has been... He hasn't gone, he hasn't been amazing where he's been our best midfielder because I think...
Really?
I don't think he's been our best
So who do you think's
been our best?
Amos.
I disagree with that.
That's for a much shorter term though.
A shorter term. He's still been good, and it's definitely a massive increase over last season. Our midfield has been a lot better.
Fair.
I a 7 still. I think he's been good, but I don't think he's been amazing just because of the amount of times he's been.
I'm going to give him an 8. I think we've clearly seen whenever he's not in our midfield, it reeks of piss.
Correct.
We need that class, and I'm going to sound like Josh's mechanic again, but he's got a great engine. It gets up and down. Technically, he's a very good player, and I think if we can get him having a preseason where he's fit and not coming into our preseason injured, I think we can see even better levels from Nicholas Pennington next season. Moving on to Taras Gamulka. I think this has been probably one of the most disappointing players this season.
It's only disappointing because Jacob hyped him up like he was the next.
Oh, that's Jacob having a typical Brisbane fucking...
Whoa. Gamulka.
This is getting cut out, by the way, but anyway.
Okay, well. I'm going to give Taras, unfortunately...
Go on.
A 3.
3.
Wow.
And I'll explain. We're going to go off again. Now, this is just my personal expectations.
You're wrong!
Of what I expected from him. Did he have some...
Did he?
Did he have some good performances and good moments? For sure. I think you could argue quite a few players had some good moments this season, right? Yeah. As a whole, and in terms of our stacked midfield that we have to go off, there is a reason why eventually he stopped seeing as much game time and action as he was getting originally. Because the moment we did bring in some, better quality, he was so much more apparent that we had better quality, such as Amos.
Yep.
And all those, and Bagaria, we'll get onto him eventually as well. But yeah, I think 3 purely because of the expectation, and also, is this as the season as a whole or the A-League season? Because my expectations from him were so high after the Australia Cup.
You can factor that in.
My expectations were high after the Australia Cup.
Yeah.
And whether that's fair or not is up for debate.
I just want to step in there.
Yeah.
Alex, in his pre-season predictions, suggested that Taras Gamulka would get a national team call-up.
Right. So that's my point. I expected him to be groundbreaking, and he really was just not that.
Why did you have to do that, bro?
Unfortunately. But I will...
No one here remembers that. No one watching remembers that.
I will say...
You're a piece of shit.
Unlike Alex, who says this about every player in the world... I do see that his ceiling is quite high, and he has a very high technical natural ability to be a good player. I think. I just don't think he's there yet.
Alex,
I'm going to say 10 robbed of a national team call-up. No,
of course.
I'm never wrong.
It's a tough one because there are some points at the season where I could say honestly I think he was a 6, maybe even a 7 at times. But with all the hype that we had for him, I am pulling it more towards a 4 or 5. I'm not gonna.
What are you gonna go with?
I'm gonna go with a 5.
Okay.
Just because I did think that with Pennington and that double pivot, they did have some. They struggled obviously towards the start of the season, but that mid patch of the season, as rough as it did get at some points, I thought he had some really good games, especially against Auckland at home. I thought he had a really really good game. There were a few rough performances, obviously.
Yep.
However, there were some good performances. I feel like without Pennington, obviously he doesn't look as good. But with Pennington, I thought they had a pretty good double pivot. Amos is clearly the better player, so that's going to have to factor into it. I'll give him a 5 because I thought it was okay.
Yeah, obviously, like Will said, after that Australia Cup, I was like, and Jacob hyping him up. I was like,
Jacob, you're a dickhead.
We've got a very good player here, but I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's definitely got a very high ceiling, but I don't think he suits the 2-man midfield. I think he'd be better in a 3-man midfield.
I agree.
So what rating are you going to give him, Josh?
4.
Fair. I'm going to give him a 4.
Yeah.
And I'm making a... I'm not saying this is a factor.
He's got a good engine.
No, fuck the engine. I'm saying... Formula 1. No,
fuck your engine.
You bloody bastard. No, from a distance, I think Trent... sorry, not Trent. I want to say Trent. Taras.
Trent on the brain.
Taras. I think... I think he lost the hunger to really prove that...
Clearly you haven't, mate.
Yeah, no, of course. Pally P, yours is a bit rich.
Fatty fee.
No, but I think he lacked that drive. And again, here we go, engine talk. But I think there were signs in the Australia Cup where he looked good and he looked like he could have been a very influential player with us. But this is now his 3rd club after being with Adelaide. But Melbourne City didn't really work out. Brisbane Roar, they were happy to let him go. Perth Glory, he started well with us, but got found out as soon as Amos came in. And there was a moment when we played Sydney FC at home where Amos ran the midfield, and then when Gamulka came on, he had a free kick towards the end of the game and hit it straight in the first man. Yep. I think Gamulka didn't take his opportunity well enough, and I think if he wants to have a key role in how things go next season, I think if he gets an opportunity, he needs to take it with both hands.
I do want him to stay 100%. Because there is so many signs that he could be better, but for what he could be, it just wasn't.
That's I'm going to give him a 4.
Yeah.
Brandon O'Neill.
I feel like Will has something to say about this one.
Your Dre, I have something to say.
I'm stuck between 2 numbers, and they're both very low.
0 and 1.
No, but and I have my own reasons for this as well. And I get. You know what?
Say it.
Chest. With chest.
Yep.
With your big chest.
It is a 2.
Okay.
Ooh.
And here's why.
Okay, sure.
I'm not saying this is his fault because obviously he's on the older side, similar to Rizzo.
He's only 30.
Is he only 30?
Yeah.
Oh damn! I thought he was in his mid-30s.
No,
early. Obviously he was unlucky to pick up that concussion, so he missed out a few weeks with that.
Yeah.
He did pick up another knock at some point as well, did he not?
He might have. He wasn't in the squad many times.
No. Look, he came in talking the business, saying he's going to make it up to the fans after we were all a bit shaky
yeah.
about him coming back after all that.
Yeah.
Came in talking a big game, came nowhere near, unfortunately. Whether it's his fault or not, because if the game time is up for debate, but for the expectations, again, an experienced 30-year-old midfielder, not as old as I thought, that makes it actually worse. Really didn't live up to the name or what promises he made at the beginning of the season, so it's going to have to be a 2.
I'm going to have to say a 4. Just a similar thing, but I think that you're being biased because you're personally hurt.
You're
I was happy that we signed him.
I will have to give him a 4. Look, I do feel like he underperformed given what we were expecting of him. I didn't expect a lot. I really did think that Pennington Gamulka was going to be our starting pivot. But I at least wanted a bit more value from O'Neill off the bench. Some games I thought he was good in closing out. I don't think he ever really showed that much confidence in terms of having a starting position.
Yeah.
And sometimes towards the latter end of the season when he did come off the bench, he wasn't that great. He is on a cheap deal. He is an experienced Perth guy, and I'm hoping he's a good locker room leader. So for that reason, I'm going to give him a 4.
Josh?
I mean, it's a harsh one because after that Melbourne City game and the Australia Cup, I thought, we've got 2016, 2017 Brandon O'Neill. He's back.
I said this. Like, he was
He's
good.
Back. He was so good. And then obviously when he played in the season, he wasn't the same Brandon O'Neill. He looked like he'd lost his legs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's harsh because as well, I feel like he doesn't really suit Dave's high pressing system.
I agree
either.
with this, yeah.
And I think that's the same case for a lot of players. And I don't think we're seeing them to their true abilities.
Yeah.
So I think it's unfair for me to say, he's been a 2 out of 10.
All right.
But you're not wrong because he hasn't been great. But I don't think it's fair because I don't think it's really his fault.
I agree.
At the end of the day, I mean, we signed him. He wanted to come back, but I do think he's been like a good mentality around the club. So I'm going to give him like a 4.
I'll give him a 4. Definitely a little iffy about him coming back given the way in which he left. I don't think he really convincingly showed or demonstrated that he wants to be a mainstay in the team.
Keep talking, please. I just got to check something on the left.
I think O'Neill for he clearly wanted to come back home, but I think he just didn't put in the performances that we needed him to, and I don't think he stood up as much as we needed him to. I don't think he played with a huge level of desire. I know that's a bit harsh.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Why a 4 and not a 3? Just out of curiosity, what is keeping you? Because 4 I consider just below average.
Yeah.
I feel like he wasn't just below average. I feel like he was a bit worse than that.
Because O'Neill, particularly the last few years, I don't really think he's hit those same levels that he did at Sydney FC.
Fair.
I think ever since he's come back to Australia, he's struggled to really show why he got a lot of attention at Sydney FC with that partnership he had with Josh Malate. I think in the sense of his Australia Cup run and occasionally in the league, he showed some good signs.
Yep.
But I don't think we saw enough from someone who seemingly wanted to redeem the fans back.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
I think we could have seen more, but I also don't think he was aided by the lack of game time.
We could have also seen more just from like a fan perspective too. Like, if you really wanted to make it up to us, and you knew you weren't going to be getting game time,
play with more desperation and urgency.
The difference between him and Rizzo was that when Rizzo was playing, you could see how much it meant to him.
It meant more to Rizzo than
Brano was playing. He was playing.
Yeah, a bit placid. So
I didn't like that. To be honest.
On a bright point though, Will Franey.
You know what?
There we go.
I was really impressed with Will. The last, he had a bit of a shaky start where it felt like Tommy was going to bite his head off because his positioning was a bit awkward in that first couple of home games we did see him play in. But again, in terms of what we expected from him, he's just come in. Young player. I'm going to give him a 7. I was genuinely impressed.
If we take out those first 2 games, I'd give him an 8 or a 9. But considering those, I'd say a 7. I think
bit lofty.
I think this fucking guy. No, when he initially came in and he was in that sort of partnership with Pennington when they tried him in the midfield, it was the just
opposites.
Terrible,
Not
terrible
the
idea.
bee's knees.
Absolutely not. Franny works best as a workhorse. Yes, he's good defensively with qualities, but I don't think he's mature enough yet as a player to be that sort of sole pivot while Pennington
Josh
goes forward more.
disagrees. Josh is not having it.
Just
Listening
let
to
me
this
cook,
bullshit.
alright?
The glazing is unreal.
Oh my fucking god! I'm giving my player opinions, you dork.
I'm half out the frame. I need to move over.
Shove over,
Then
Pally
move
P.
over.
All right, and now I'm out of frame.
Anyways,
still in, Will, you're
anyways,
right.
No, Will, you got like a meter.
Meter. Okay, go, yes.
anyways, I feel like him in a double pivot with Pennington was always a bad idea because there's no proper defensive mid there. Though when he was with Amos,
Oh, he looked 10 times better.
100%,
100%.
because
Yeah.
he's got more freedom to actually press. Use the fact that his strength is in his physical ability.
And not playing left wing, Dave.
Exactly.
Don't play him left
But
wing
even
next
even
season.
as a left wing, he wasn't the most horrible player we've
No,
had.
but he's
No,
not a
easily not
fucking
the
left
winger.
winger.
No, he's not. But I feel like if you can get him next to an app like a proper CDM or even in a midfield
He's
three,
got potential, yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. But I'll say 7.
Joshua.
Uh-oh.
I mean, obviously, I might have been a bit harsh a bit earlier on when he was playing next to Pennington.
Josh, I want you to say what you were originally going to say with
No,
chest.
no.
Chest, Josh.
No. I thought Alex was glazing a little bit.
Okay, fair. That's
At
good,
the start
as he
of the
does.
season,
Yeah.
I wasn't hating.
You're not a
him.
hater.
He's only like a young kid. I wasn't expecting the world from him. When he was playing next to Pennington, obviously it didn't work, and that's not his fault. That's Dave's for putting him next to Pennington because he didn't suit the profile that he needed.
Yeah.
But ever since he's come on for these last few games and played next to Amos, he's played in his natural position. He's been very good. Like, he's been genuinely very good from the chest. When he played as a winger, he was not a winger.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he's a pure number 8.
Yep.
And I think he's been decent, so I'm gonna give him like a 7.
I will say this as well. I had a conversation with his dad at the Glory NPL game.
Did ya?
Their NPL season opener.
Yep.
He told me that before that game, Will had never played wing in his life.
Wow.
So for someone doing it for their first time, I actually thought he did quite well.
Damn it, Dave. You're not really doing my agenda any justice. Fuck.
Damn it,
Yeah, but
Dave.
it's like Osler. Like they should.
Shout out to the Frainies, by the way.
Yeah.
Lovely people.
I'll give Will a 7.
Thanks.
I think he's. Yeah, sure, yeah. No, I thought Franny. He's grown a lot this season. In terms of his performances, I think he was a little bit shaky to start off with. How he's ended the season, I think he's shown that he can be a key player in the team and someone that you can rely on to start.
Yeah.
I thought, for example, away against Auckland, he and Amos just bounced off each other really well.
100%.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to see to what levels he can hit next season. I think there's a lot more to see from him, and I'm excited to see what he can do. The next midfielder, the central midfielder, I think we probably would all universally like to stay if it's possible. Luke Amos. Will, what do you think?
8.
Wow.
And this was the player I was talking about in terms of like what he brings to the club, not just in terms of his abilities but also his mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we were crying out for more players that we can just get behind in terms of who they are as a person as well as a footballer.
Mm-hmm.
We have Tags, who we love to get behind because we know how much he cares about the club. We got Rizzo as well, and occasionally when he does play Cammy Cook, because it's very obvious how much he does care as well. And it's whether or not it's just his personality or whether he's just come to really enjoy his time in Perth. It's pretty apparent that he really does like to be here and he really enjoys the support and he loves to play football here. And I just thought he gave a spark to the crowd as well as the team when he did come across. He put in some very good performances. I think he rejuvenated a lot of hope for even next season, hoping he'd stay on. But with all that being said, 100%, a minimum an 8 for me.
Since he's come here, he's been our best player, hands down. He's been our best player since he's come in. If he'd been here from the start of the season and he performed to this level, I'd consider it a 10. However, I'll give him an 8. But exactly on what Will said, I have never seen. Well, I have seen before, it's been a long time since I've seen the fans get behind this player, like an individual player, this much.
Not even a Perth boy. Like he's just
Exactly. Just a foreign signing that we bought in mid-season. The Bay absolutely adores the guy. Yeah. And I feel like he adores the fans as well.
I adore
to
him.
a large degree.
I adore him.
Thanks, Will. Thanks for the comment.
Okay.
It wasn't directed at you, James.
No, I'm not saying that. Anyway, keep
Who
going.
wants to swap seats with me? Anyone?
Any other thoughts? So what, 8?
Yeah,
Josh.
I'll give him an 8.
Josh.
Oh, Josh.
2.
No, like genuinely, like just I don't know. He's just got this nostalgic sort of feeling. Just because I played with him in career mode,
Gotcha.
you know, he's just got this nostalgic feeling about him, and like he's exactly what we needed at the time, and like he's just come in with the right mentality. He hasn't treated it like a holiday. He's just been absolutely fantastic ever since he's come in, and you know, he's really interacted well with the fans. He puts in a shift. He plays like he wants to play and be here.
So,
and like, I'd absolutely love it if we could sign a couple-year extension. I'd love to keep him for our proper rebuild. You know.
So what's your rating?
9.
Wow. I'm gonna say a 7, only because this just. Wait.
Boo.
This is Amos at 60% fitness or 70% fitness.
So it should be like a 9 then if he's playing as well.
I think there are even more levels for Amos to hit when he's fully fit.
Poo.
When he gets to, you know, if he stays with us and has a full preseason and just smashes it, then I think we can see Amos be consistent for a long period of time.
No,
and what do you like about him, James?
Pardon?
What do you like about him? Is there a particular thing as a midfielder that you really like that he has?
No, what else? No, what we will.
He's got an engine.
He's got an engine. No.
But sorry, James, can we just go back a couple of months when we first signed him? Why would Stan sign him? He's an injury-prone player.
Well, there was a risk attached to it.
Oh, see, he's done it again.
there was a risk attached to it because of his injury history. It wasn't just me; everyone noted it. Were we not a little bit concerned about the fact that he had 2 ACLs?
I was fine.
No, not at all.
Okay,
I was very happy.
Recency bias helps.
No, genuinely.
But he's done very well. We needed a number 6 who could get the ball in a similar way to Vestrada could for Auckland, and I think he's balanced the midfield out much better to the point where we can control games better and compete better, and I'm excited to see what he can do next season if he stays.
So true, bestie.
Jalen Pearman, straight 10.
Okay. I said I wasn't going to get about 10s.
You know?
Right.
It's not just because he watches the pod.
You can do it. You can do it.
Not just because he watches the pod.
Do it.
Well, if he were doing 0.5.
I give him a 10.5.
No, sorry. No, Jalen gets a 10.
I don't think we even have to say anything. You just...
No, genuinely, he gets. 10. He's the only one who's going to get a 10 from me. But he's just pure class, isn't he? Genuinely, he is just a level above everyone else, and both footballing wise and just also character wise. To have the maturity he has on the field at his age is genuinely incredible. I've not quite seen anything like it in the club. You know, we've had quite a few young players come through the ranks who've been very good, you know, such as, you know, Danny De Silva and some other names come to mind. But that maturity and ability to be present on the field for a full 90 minutes just hasn't been there with some of those players. But for him, you feel his impact on the whole of the game the entire time.
The glazing is crazy, am I right, guys?
He's going to back
you. You have a signed forehead of him. Don't get me started on the glazing, right? No, he is. I genuinely hope I don't see him set foot in this league for the next decade, because I genuinely think he has the talent to make it big in some of the biggest leagues in the world. But yeah, 100% a 10.
Alex.
Easily, probably, I'd say the biggest talent that's come out of our academy in terms of, I'd say, ability.
He'd be up there. Yeah.
He's look, the only player that's beside him, in my opinion, is Danny De Silva, or at least in recent years is Danny De Silva. But I do feel like Pearman is... I do think Pearman is a class above. I do think Pearman is going to go on and have a fantastic career.
Keegan Yellow.
No, he
didn't come through our academy though, did he, mate?
Yeah, no, but like...
No, just it's purely coming through our academy, so that's... yeah.
Am I right?
No, but if we don't count through academy, like
Oh yeah, fair, but
but
it's only through academy.
Yeah.
So, best product since De Silva.
The fact that it took him this long to get his chance in the first team baffles me, and I don't want to hear any of that crap from people in management saying that it's because we were worried about his physical ability when he's consistently come in since his debut and put up some of the best physical numbers both in offense and defense.
Maybe it's because he wasn't fit, strong enough before then, which allowed him to start.
I'm sorry, I seriously doubt that overnight he went from pissant weakling
wouldn't have been
to
overnight.
physically dominant.
He would have been during the pre-season and during the first half.
He wasn't even
season.
on the bench before that, though. James.
No, because I think Zrella probably wanted him to start games.
Why not bring him into the bench for at least one game as a squad player?
I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Dave. But I think there was. I think it's a legitimate, part saying like we want to ensure that we can develop him so that he can play the high pressing system and play for longer.
But besides the point, let's just be thankful that we've had a good half season out of him. Very, very upset that we didn't make some serious money off of him. But that's down to Stan and down to the club. In terms of
scary that we nearly released him.
Yeah,
well, we fucking did release him.
In terms of everything that Jalen's given us this season, it's a 10 out of 10.
Josh,
9.
Hey,
cool.
9.
No,
Anything else?
Be different then.
I'm joking. 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Good boy.
9. 9 because
Where's the
this guy needs. This guy looks at me and goes, "It's all 10s, surely."
No.
And then he's the one giving it a 9.
No.
Fucking say it's a 10, you loser.
No, 10. No, 10 because
thank God.
he's got
already did that bit.
got a
Not
good
funny.
engine.
He's not funny.
engine. No, he's. I've been really impressed with him. Really impressed with him.
Have you?
No, it's the fact that people were saying for years beforehand. I'll put my hand up. I haven't been watching too much NPL. I should be looking to watch more NPL. But people were saying for some time that plastic bitch. People were saying for some time that Pearman was.
You're so Facebook coded, bro.
I know. People were saying that Pearman was a gun coming out of the academy. And then we first saw him in the game in, what was it, the West Ham game.
Yeah.
That was when we first saw him play for the first team, and there was something there.
Yeah.
And then once he got in and amongst it for his debut, was it against Western? Was that his debut?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and from there he just hit the ground running and didn't look back. I think he's going to have a really good career. And I'm excited to see what he can do moving forward.
So true.
Hopefully the same can be said for this next player, Adam Bulgaria.
The booger.
Geez, that is some nickname. That.
Yeah.
What? No, very creative.
Double guard.
Okay. Just get on with it, Will.
Hey,
Will, we've been recording for 2.5 hours.
I'm not the one who does a 30. I do 30 seconds. This guy does like a whole podcast by
Monologue.
himself for one player. All right, it's not
Okay.
my fault.
Carry on.
The
Just
booger
wait till we get to
gets.
some of
I think he's finished strong.
Yep.
I'm gonna give him a 6.
He's not finished. He's only 19.
6? Okay, fair enough. Alex?
I'll also give him a 6. Look, I was hoping for more than 1 goal and 1 assist in the A-League this season, but I think he's shown some good signs. So hopefully more to build on.
Josh?
I'm gonna give him. Yeah, I think a 6 is fair. I mean, we haven't really seen that much. What?
I don't know.
He's just copying you.
No, I mean, we haven't really seen a whole lot of him, but like, from what we have seen, he's been good.
What the fuck?
What are you laughing at?
He's going like this.
Dickhead.
I'm so sorry.
It's so late at night.
6.
Guys, I want to get home. I don't
Okay.
want to die.
We haven't even
driving
gotten
home.
to the whole part of the
I've got to
second
drive
episode.
50 minutes home.
No, it's 30. 6. I thought he was.
You thought he was good.
Shaky to start off with, but finished off very strongly.
I think it's shaky to start off with. He scored a goal on his debut, mate.
Yeah, well,
that was debatable.
Hiroki Aoma.
Oh, I forgot about that guy.
And
This is where the 1 comes in.
yeah. Is there an NA? Like, does he really
0.
count?
Just give it a rating. Be quick.
One.
James said we
One.
can't do 0.
One.
So,
Dude, 1. That's it.
Josh, 1.
Well, we can't do 0.5, so I can't say 0.5, so 0.
Wow,
Well,
okay.
James said don't do 0.
We
Can
can't
do negative?
No,
James
just
said
So we can't do
whole
0, so it's
numbers
1 through
Can't do
10.
0. Well, I think
So
0
it's-
would imply that they just didn't even play.
He didn't really.
Okay, I'm going to give him a 1.
Fair enough. One. Yeah, I agree. One. Adam Taggart.
Japanese consulate.
Adam Taggart, the MGP.
8.
Lads.
It's not your turn.
Will.
Josh.
William, can you get on with it, please?
I'm thinking.
Hurry up, Will.
Okay.
Fucking slow.
You were supposed to have these pre-prepared before we got here, Will.
Should have read the script, Will.
Should have read the script.
I
Okay,
did.
let's just keep it brief.
7.
Alex.
I'm going to say 7.
Josh.
And I'm going to say 7 because...
Come on.
He wasn't the same tags as last season, but that's because he suits Stadge's system more than Dave's. But he still managed 10 goals and a few assists. So
Come on,
I'm
you
gonna give him
cop
an 8.
Hurry up. Thank you.
8. David Williams.
7.
Alex.
For when he played 7.
Well, no. Oh, so what else are we going to rate him on then? when he wasn't
His
playing.
impact for the whole season.
Sure.
You stupid
Alright.
fucking nerd.
Well, when he was on the field, 7.
When he was
off
on the field 7, when he, considering the entire length of the season, considering that he barely played, and when he
this
did,
is
he
gonna
tore
go
his
on
fucking
forever.
ACL. I'll give him a 6.
Okay.
But you know
Alex,
what, Will?
Alex, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Josh.
so true.
I'm gonna say 7. Get rel.
Oh my god! I thought he was going to say get wrecked. I was like, oh my god! Oh my god!
Get well soon, King.
Get wrecked.
Get wrecked.
7. Nathaniel Blair. Barely played this
4.
season.
I think the last time I saw him was in Zamberos.
Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah, Alex.
Zamberos.
4.
Give him a 4.
Alex, right?
Josh.
4.
Yeah, 4. Patrick Wood.
3.
3.
Yeah, same. Agreed. 3.
The only difference between him and
Yeah,
Blair is at least we own Blair.
Abdul Faisal. The
6.
next Mo Salah.
6.
Really?
If you want me to explain, I will. But if we're being too quick,
No,
then-
I want you to explain.
Okay. I don't think he was put in the right environment to succeed. I think when he was at his peak confidence, he was performing very well in the Australia Cup.
Yep.
And I think just as on a player level, I didn't buy into the whole he's the next Mo Salah. We're not. If we look at who he is as a player and where we got him from, the way he performed in the A League as a step up, I think he performed at an average level and then performed at occasionally better than average.
Okay, fair.
That's why it's just above
I've
average.
also
6.
noticed, James, that you did not put Doggy Carlucci on this list.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, but do that in the end. Yes, Alex.
I'm going to give him a 5. I'm only going to give him a 5 because I had higher expectations after a really good Oz Cup. It's a shame that he lost his confidence, but he just didn't prove himself in the A-League,
Fair.
unfortunately.
Josh.
No, but
Yes.
A 3 only because his work rate was piss poor.
But I would just like to. He did though. He went to the Mariners and he played so much better. And they're
No,
in
he
peak-
didn't.
Brother,
No, but he
he
did.
really did not.
He did.
Will, you are looking at Foot Mob. Okay?
No, I wasn't. I watched his highlight. I watched him play.
I promise you, he failed the eye test.
What did you watch?
I didn't fail my. I thought he
What did you
played better
see?
for the Mariners.
What did you, be specific.
He played.
So he's okay. Move on.
It does also help when the Mariners don't play a hyper aggressive pressing system.
Fair.
That
But the point-
requires a
but-
tough
Fair.
work
No,
rate,
well,
which
but
he
he- okay.
didn't have when he was.
Faisal, look, came out of the NPL2 in New South Wales. Was stupidly hyped up by Stan.
Yes.
Showed some promise in the Australia Cup. Ultimately, hasn't built up the fitness levels yet to work in the A League. I think his work rate was too hot and cold, and just really struggled. So I'm gonna have to give him a 4. Unfortunately, as Alex did point out, Jared Coluccio.
7.
7.
I'm also going to go with a 7.
7, very clear. Nikola Miljuznic. This would be a bit of an interesting one.
5.
5. I'm going to give him a 4.
You know what? I'm really close to giving him a 3, but I'll give him a 4.
Probably a 4.
He just did not play.
4.
enough,
He
man.
should have got to fix those hamstrings up, man. Lockie Wales.
6.
I'm going to have to also say 5.
I hope he stays next season.
I hope he stays next
6.
season, but
I'm going to give him a 6 as well. I mean, we didn't see enough,
started off really
but I think
Started off
there's
great, just
more
got
to
injured.
give. Wow signing who'll put bums on seats. Christian Caicedo.
1.
Yeah,
I
1.
forgot about the dude.
1.
His biggest highlight in a
rubbish.
Glory shirt was chucking
2,
a fucking
4.
sook.
Quiet and go.
4. You guys can do it.
You know what? I'm
6. Jinx.
I'm going to give him a 6.
William, can we do it today, please?
4.
Oh,
Oh,
why?
come on, dude.
I
Didn't pass the eye test.
expect. I
Not as
didn't
good as
say
Ray
that.
Allen.
I wasn't me. Don't put words in my mouth. Right.
Not as good as Faisal.
This is just me personally.
Yes.
This is just me personally.
Yes.
And my expectations of Kwar were very high.
Ah.
I rate him so highly. I think he has a very high ceiling.
Yep.
I just felt sometimes there's a reason why he kind of got phased out of that starting 11 towards the half to the end of the season until recently. I thought he had. I thought when he this cameo at the end for Wellington, he played quite. He got the assist.
Yeah.
He's had a strong end, but I just expected a lot more of him. But I do think with next season he'll play a lot better because he has that high potential.
It needs more of an output.
I agree.
And then just finally, the key staff members out of 10, David Zrilic.
2.
What, 1?
1.
We finished bottom with one of the worst defenses in the league. What do you want me to say?
I'm gonna have to say 2, but I want to hear this from James.
3.
Why?
He always has to be a little bit more than
so
us.
different and cool, James.
No, just wait. I think I'm giving him a 3 because the hand, like I said, the hand that he was given was shit. Players that were coming in pre-season, shit. Not high quality, not fit enough, and has a terrible, not terrible, but not the best football director above him. And we won the wooden spoon. But I think there is more to give from Zrilic. I believe, unlike in previous situations where we've won the wooden spoon, my hope is that there is a chance that we can see something better
with
a
previous that we won the spoon. What, like Alan Sajic?
When beforehand, where we won the wooden spoon under Ruben Zadkovic, Richie or Rubes.
Okay,
I think there's more potential with if we're talking about again.
There's definitely more potential.
And I know that's a different baseline, but I think I'd like to hope that there is more to see, and that this guy surely can't be a shit coach with, again, the pedigree and the resume that he's got, but this is make or break. If
we had 26 games of this and he's still harping on
26.
I know, but if it doesn't work, I've already said if it doesn't work, sack him, but I'm just hoping that it can, but I'm not very convinced. Stan Lazaridis.
1.
0.
For his signings, I'd give him like a 4. Considering he can't keep his mouth shut, I'd give him a 1.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah, look.
2.
Okay, I'm gonna agree with James. I'm gonna say 2 purely because he kind of a little bit
of
that
redemption
January window, a little
but
bit.
just ruined
The only redeeming factor from this season was the signing of Pennington and the signing of Amos.
Yep.
However, that is killed when you bring in marquees that don't work.
There was no marquees.
Sorry, not marquees. Visas that don't work.
Yep.
You brought in Kanga and Caicedo that both flopped. Misao and Okamoto just... unfortunately, they were fine when they played. They just didn't play enough.
The 2 Japanese signings weren't even Stans.
No, we had them recommended.
No, Stan. We had them
recommended.
recommended.
Amos was recommended by Nick Montgomery.
It wasn't Stan scouting. Stan had less of a role in the January window.
So it's a 1 then.
So it is a 1.
It's a 1.
So it is a 1.
Okay, cool.
And finally, Ross Pelligra.
Okay, you know what? This is going to be controversial. I'm going to give
because he's Italian. I'm going to give him a 10.
You want to play the race card? You can, James.
Alex,
No,
fucker. What are you going to give him, Alex?
I'm going to give him a... This is going to sound really bad. I'm going to give him a 5. Now, I would give him a lot worse if we didn't get a lot of off-field stuff done this season.
Sure.
We allegedly cleared our debt. We apparently have cleared our debt, or have at least got a lot closer to clearing our debt.
Right.
We've got the facilities in Mirrabooka being built right now.
They don't look very good.
It was promised in January. It's now May, and it's not even like...
Do you know how long it takes to build shit, bro?
Yeah, they don't promise it
for January.
Don't promise it.
Promise it for next season.
Hold on. They did say 2025. They didn't say when in 2025.
No, they said January.
No, they didn't.
They did.
They announced it in January.
They announced it in the back end of 2024.
Whatever.
Turf was supposed to be done by the end of February, but we were supposed to move in 2025.
Look, in terms of off the field stuff, I think he's gotten a lot of stuff. He's gotten a lot of stuff put into the right direction. However, in terms of his actual appointment of staff, I think it's gone very wrong, and he needs to get it right. If he's not going to change things, he needs to put people in the right environment to actually be able to do their jobs.
Yep. I'm going to give him a 4. But I hope that he wants to meet more Glory fans to get their take. Don't just leave it to myself and a few others that he met. He needs to meet more people, because I don't know how many Glory fans he's actually sat down and had a conversation with.
Not enough, Josh.
If I said 5, that means he's been average, and I think he's been just a bit below. So I'm going to say 4 because he hasn't really brought in the right people.
2.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. We need to do like that sad piano music again.
No, just look.
TikTok.
You know what? For one final time for this season,
TikTok.
and we're going to say Australia Cup is a new start to a season.
A new era. We reignite the glory.
Shut up. Right? I've harped on so much about don't say things if you can't keep them, right? Like, don't make promises. Don't say we're going to do this. Don't say we're going to do that if it's not going to happen. And then I dare you to take accountability for it. And if you don't, you're going to lose my trust and a lot of other people's, right? Sure. Stan did that, which is why he's got so low of a ranking for me. He got a 1 because he made promises and he didn't take accountability for it.
Yep.
Right? Same with old mate Ross. He made promises about, we'll do this. It'll be 12 months from now, or you won't.
Totally different club.
Just shut up. Like, at the end of the day, and if you're gonna stuff up as badly as you have as an entire board, but Ross, you are head honcho, so you've got to be the one that takes the most accountability, and you've done diddly squat all. So you're lucky you're not getting
diddly.
Honestly, 1 is probably more fair, but I'm giving you 2 purely because I'm happy with the amount of things you've done off field. But you've broken so much trust with me and many other thousands of fans that I don't really see a way back.
You know what? I will just say, Will makes a really good point, and after seeing how much this obviously affects him, I'm gonna change my rating to a 7.
And on that note, he's just grimacing in the background. On that note, on that bombshell. For the last time,
Bro thinks we're a grand tour.
For the last time of the season 2024,
for the last
25.
time of the A-League season, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining us here on the Glory Days pod. Episode 33 and /34 is a wrap from us here. We will join you all next time after the Australia Cup game against Mariners, where we'll be giving our, reaction to the Oz Cup as well as our thoughts on the cup competition going forward. And on top of that, hopefully a look into what our signings is going to be. Maybe even a squad overview in terms of who should stay and who should go. But that will be coming up for you guys to look forward to, as well as plenty of exciting content over the off season. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Absolutely. We're going to have plenty of stuff going out. So thank you all so much for your support from all of us here on Glory Days. It's been a absolutely dogshit season, but it's been fantastic coming to you guys every single week. And thank you all so much.
Cheers. See you guys later.
All right.